Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Know Your Customers, Protect Your Profits, where we're going to talk to you about customer intelligence side of the Profit Max platform. My name is Dean Holmes. I'm the product marketing manager here at Cavallo. I have over 30 years in technology industry helping customers drive success. I'm based here in San Francisco. I'm an avid urban hiker and trail hiker as well. I love getting hiking around my city and hiking outside the city. And I love live music and dancing, which I have a lot of opportunities for here in San Francisco. With me today is Nate DeWinkle. He is our product manager for the Profit Max platform. He's got over 15 years helping customers use data to improve their business. He's based out of lovely Grand Rapids, Michigan, which I guess is a little chilly today. He's an avid and I always love this not great golfer. It's kind of how I say like I play a bass, but I am not a musician.
That's okay.
He loves running and being outdoors. So, I have a few housekeeping items to mention before we get started today. You can expect about a 30 to 40-minute presentation with demonstrations. We'll start with a short introduction to Cavallo, followed by customer segmentation, and then we'll walk through customer churn. And then finally, we'll wrap that all up with Q&A. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to answer all the questions at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to view it on our YouTube page in the next 24 hours. With that, we'll get started. So quickly, I'll go over, Cavallo was founded over 20 years ago inside of a high-performing distribution business, with the main goal of helping our customers achieve max profitability. We've supported thousands of distributors, some of whom are here today. Thank you for joining us. And we've helped them recognize millions of dollars of value. We have a 92% customer retention rate. Our support and services team carries an NPS score of 95, and we have over 21,000 users of our software. All of that is to say that our ultimate goal is to make our customers more profitable, competitive, and valuable. And having happy, profitable customers is key to achieving those goals. Whether your ERP is Great Plains or Business Central, Acumatica or Infor, we've created the software solutions to help drive profitability by giving you the most important insights regarding your customers' value and health. And one of those solutions is the Profit Max platform. Specifically today, we'll be focused on customer intelligence. That includes automated customer segmentation. That's classifying your customers by their true value to your business. Predictive churn analysis to understand which customers might be leaving and how much value might be walking out the door. And proactive customer insights that provide you daily visibility into the health of your customers and where to focus your efforts. The ultimate goal of the Profit Max platform is to help you know your customers and protect your profits. So let's start by knowing your customers through customer segmentation. Most distributors we talk to segment based on one or two top line metrics. That might be total revenue, that might be order count, total units sold, volume, right? We hear this all the time, Nate. They focus on volume when they're thinking about the segmentation. But volume numbers don't reflect the true value of your customer. So how do you segment your customers to get a true picture of their value? First, segmentation itself isn't always easy. It's manual, it's backward looking. Often you might be refreshing that quarterly or yearly. It means you can miss real-time shifts in buying behavior. And if we just look at volume, like the example here where we're looking at revenue, we won't get the true picture. In my example, we've set some revenue thresholds for segmentation. Above 30,000 is my green segment, 200 to 299 is my yellow segment, and under 199 is my red. Now I know I put the little red line on the 100,000, but you get my point. It makes it more even here. So in this example, I have 3 top tier customers, 3 mid tier customers, and 3 bottom tier customers. As I said, basing segmentation on volume alone doesn't give you the whole picture. And it also results in a sales team and organization that chases volume, not protecting profitability. So we might call a customer top tier, but if we factor in all the associated costs to understand the margin each customer brings to the table, that might not be true. In this case, I see that customers I previously considered high value are actually not that profitable. And if I reevaluate my segmentation based upon the profitability of my customers as a percentage of revenue, things change quite a bit. 2 of my highest volume customers are actually my least profitable, and 2 of my lowest volume customers are my most profitable, with one of them contributing twice the amount of gross margin compared to the top volume customer. Understanding true customer value requires looking at more than just volume. This is where Cavallo comes in. We've applied the science of profit to help you understand the true value of each customer. By focusing on value segmentation, we can flip the old model on its head. It's not about who buys the most, it's about who contributes the most. With the Profit Max platform, our algorithms factor in gross margin, order frequency, discounting, other hidden costs. The result is clear value categories. My A customers are my top profit drivers. My B customers are my consistent contributors. My C customers are maintenance customers. And then my D customers, they might be unprofitable. This empowers sales organizations to prioritize high impact relationships, operations to flag loss makers, and leadership to make strategic retention or repricing decisions. This is what the Profit Max platform provides. Automated ABC segmentation based upon your true customer value. Simple, clean, easy to understand. So, Nate, why don't you take over and show these fine people how ABC segmentation can give them a clear view of customer value segmentation?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dean. Whenever you go through that and like talk about being on that revenue side, I just keep remember the old line, like I lose money on every order, but I'm going to make it up in volume. It just doesn't work that way,
It doesn't work
right?
that way.
And that's one of the things that the Profit Max platform is profits in the name because that is what we are driven by is understanding that profitability and what is the value of every single customer to your bottom line. And that's what we're focused on, even as we're talking just within customers. So we're looking here and we're seeing this is what the customers module looks like on the home screen. We see that ABCD segmentation that Dean already alluded to. We have churn prediction and other information about our top gainers, decliners, and some growth information. We'll talk about a lot of this later. But let's dive into this ABCD segmentation. Out of the box, we're going to look at ABCD segmentation as based upon margin. How much profit is this customer bringing to the table? Who's my top 75% bringing profit, and then 10, and then the last little bit of are profitable are C's, and then D's are companies we lose money on. And the reason we want to do this is if we're making good money or we have a very valuable customer, we want to prioritize their orders. We want to make sure that they're happy and they're going to stay happy because they're heavily impacted to our bottom line and really targeting what we can do. So as we dive into this, we see the overall, hey, a lot of my sales comes from my A's, my B's, my C's. We see our customer count sort of like we have this 80-20 rule. Hey, 80% of the sales and the profit is coming from the high value customers. And you invert that, like that's only coming from like 20% of our customers. So we can start seeing who to focus on when we get those A customers, B customers, see their margin, see the total number of customers and the sales associated with it. We can take this and dive a little bit farther. So it's one thing just to do an ABCD segmentation. Like I think a lot of the customers we talk about say, it's important to do my ABCD segmentation. I need to understand it for my customers. But you know, as I'm talking to my customers like, Nate, I know I need to do this. It takes a lot of time. I'm doing it quarterly. I'm doing it yearly because I got to take everything out. I got to get those numbers. I got to crunch those numbers, put it into my own reporting tools, put it into a Google Sheet, put it into Excel, and it's work and it's manual. And then everything's going to change or break, or the ERP changes or some field changes. And the next time they have to do it becomes another exercise. So the power of having a platform like this that's connected directly to the ERP is pulling this data, it's staying up to date for you and giving you this information every single day. You're going to have up to date, who are my A customers, who are my B customers. And that gives you something that you can act on daily as opposed to waiting for the next quarter or waiting for the end of year to figure out how you did. So you know who to prioritize in that day. As we dive into this, we start looking at this. Not only is the Profit Max platform showing the ABCD, the high level of segmentation, but also starting to explain why, what makes this segment special. So if we take our A segment, we see our customers here. We have 1,200 customers. We see the overall sales, our cost of sales, our margin, and our segment margin percent. But then we drive into what was indicating the profit. Why are they profitable? And we see we have a lot of profit levers that we can pull. The average orders per customer, the average value of those orders, the average margin per order, and the average lines per order, and the average line value. All of those drive the top profit. So the more orders, the more value per order, the more profitable the customer is. So we're going beyond just a simple segmentation, but also showing you what makes this segment so profitable. And we actually take that and we start looking across the board here. We see, just take this orders per customer. Our A customers, they have ordered from us 18.3 times over the last year. Our B customers, 4.2 times. So there's a big difference right there. If I could get my B customers to order more, I can probably increase their value to my organization. I can get more value out of these customers just by getting them to order more. If you go down, see the order value is almost twice as much between our A's and our B customers as well. So not only are our B customers ordering less, they're ordering less dollars as well when they're ordering. So I have a couple of things. How do I incentivize my B customers to order more at more higher dollar value? We keep going down here and we start looking at the average margin. Well, B customers are having an average margin of 63.6. A customers have an average margin of 55.9. Well, some of that makes sense, right? I want my A customers to keep them, so I'm going to incentivize them. But maybe I'm being a little too stingy with some of those incentives. Maybe I can apply some of that to the B to incentivize those B customers to start looking more like A's. Never going to say take money off the table, right? But there's an opportunity if I can incentivize a higher order value and more money per order, my overall margin is just going to grow. So really just within a screen like this, we can start seeing all the factors, all the indicators that lead into, I wonder if I can improve my discounting for my B customers to incentivize them to look more like A customers. So really having all this data prepared for you daily and the ability to look at it saves a lot of time, and you have something that becomes very actionable here.
Nate, it's really interesting too, going back to the whole, as you mentioned, we talked about using multiple variables. Even as you look at this, if you go back to that average orders per customer, I mean, our D customers actually have higher orders per customer than our B and C. And if we only focused on that, we would actually be losing money here because these guys are actually costing us.
Yeah.
Pretty
Don't worry,
fascinating.
you're going to make it up on volume. That's what you're making up on volume right there, Dean. Absolutely. So we see all of those, and it puts it all, giving this all of this stuff together versus multiple spreadsheets, multiple analysis, multiple people looking at different parts of this puzzle. Having it all together says there's a real story here and something I can do, right? So we dive into this. We know what our B customers, probably the most actionable thing for me is like, I want to get my B customers to be more valuable, right? We've already said that they have a little bit of higher margin. They have a little bit of higher margin. They're ordering less, so I want to incentivize them. We can dive into this, and we're going to go to that next level of information where we still keep our levers here, our profit indicators, our summary information, so we know what we're working with. But then we provide the detailed list of these are the customers that make up that B segment. We see their customer name, their class, their sales rep, who's actually responsible for them, their sales information, their margin information, and their overall margin dollars, right? We're going to sort it by margin dollars because we're margin focused or profit focused. So we have this hypothesis, right? Like I want to improve my B customers, to make more profit off of my B customers because I'm probably going to offer them a discount. So who's the best people to offer that discount to? It's probably the people who already are making that margin a little higher than it should be, right? Or than our target margin. So if we can come in, we can just do a quick filter here and just look for our margin percent. And let's just say, who has a margin greater than my average here? Go okay. So here's the list of about 1,400 of these customers that have a higher average than the segment average. So this would be a good target to start looking at discounting and diving more. I can get this list. I can immediately download it. I could share this view with my sales reps and really say, hey, Patrick or Kimberly, Logan, go offer these people this level of discount. And the goal is to get them to get them to incentivize them to order more, improve our profit, and move these from a B to an A customer, right? We can also be more targeted if we wanted to look at our specific customer classes, like our national accounts or our wholesalers. Again, to pinpoint this from the organization about who to reach to. So segmentation is really powerful. Out of the box, we're going to give you a set of thresholds sort of around that 80-20 rule, but that's also configurable to your business, right? We know we have a line here. If you've talked to one distributor, you've talked to one distributor. So some distributors will say my A customers have to be only the top 20% because they're really super focused on that. Others want to be closer to this 80-20 rule. So we do allow a little bit of configuration so that this analysis can meet the business's needs. But the key is using this to drive up the value of those customers and making sure that you have it every single day, as opposed to being a quarterly exercise or a yearly exercise. So you know who's valuable today, so you can treat them appropriately and make sure you continue to grow those relationships.
That's awesome. Thanks, Nate. I love the combination there of as you mentioned, the value that we're providing from the standpoint of using our knowledge and expertise to help them segment based upon value, but also combining that with their own categorization to really help them hone into, what's specifically areas, targets, et cetera, that are affecting them. I think that's a very powerful part of it. So we've shown the importance of segmenting customers by value. Now, how do we ensure we can keep those valuable customers? How do we reduce customer churn and elevate customer retention? Well, one of the most common problems we hear is that tracking churn is difficult. And even for those who do track it, it's often based upon something just like frequency, which means that the only way to know if a customer has churned is if they haven't ordered from me in X number of days, which means you don't know the customer has churned until it's probably too late. Without smart tools, churn detection is manual and delayed. We hear distributors tell us things like, the rep mentioned the customer is slowing down purchasing. We saw fewer lines per order. The customer hasn't ordered in 90 days. These soft data points aren't true metrics for predicting churn. Accurate churn analysis is hard. You've got billions of points of data in your ERP, and getting to that data means knowing the metrics that are important and then building the reports and dashboards to understand it. By the time you realize a pattern, the customer is already gone. Most distributors lack predictive visibility, the ability to see churn before it happens. Measuring churn should not be about reporting. It should be about retention. Now, that doesn't mean that things like frequency aren't valuable. There are lots of reasons where drilling into something like frequency itself can provide important insights. Nate's actually going to walk you through a couple of examples of how the Profit Max platform easily surfaces and visualizes this information and what you can do with it. But when it comes to customer retention, what if you could recognize churn not after losing customers, but while there's still time to act? If we could predict churn, we could move from reacting to losing customers to retaining them before they leave. Cavallo's predictive churn model analyzes patterns in recency, that's your last purchase date, your frequency, that's your buying rhythm, and your monetary, that's your spend plus your margin. But it goes deeper, using trend weighting and order anomalies. It scores each customer's churn likelihood, giving you early warning signals. And then we combine churn risk with the customer profitability to give you the total margin risk for each customer. With predictive churn, you get a clear visualization of which customers are at risk and how much value is on the table. Combine that with ABC segmentation. If an A-tier customer shows elevated or high churn risk, you know exactly where to focus. Instead of losing your most profitable customers silently, your team can reach out early and with purpose. So Nate, let's show everyone how predictive churn works.
Yeah, Dean, I think before we get to churn, let's go back to one of the things you mentioned, like as we were talking about that customers by recent sale. It's probably an oldie but a goodie, right? It's easy to say, when was the last time they ordered? Where does this fit into the bands? But it's also really powerful. And it's also something that the Profit Max platform takes from that basic analysis and takes it that one level deeper to make it truly helpful and truly insightful. So we have that customers by recent sale right here. I'm going to dive into it. We see our bands, like for this organization, recent is ordered within the last 90 days, scale is from 90 to 200, at risk 200 to 365, and then churned is that bit over the year. Again, talk to one distributor. These are values that you can configure within the system. If you're in food services, if somebody hasn't ordered in a week, that's probably made them stale, or ordered in a month. So you can make all of these fields and all of these bands meet your business needs. I was talking with a food distributor, is like, well, that person didn't order chicken from me again this week, I missed the sale because they went to somebody else, right? So looking at this and knowing that really helps you focus on where are they and who should I be talking to today within the context of my business. So we're coming in here. Here we've already filtered for our national accounts. We could go to all our reseller, but we'll take a look at national accounts. And as we look here, looks pretty good. Like, a lot of my customers are recent. I have a little scale at risk, but it doesn't look too bad at terms of my national accounts. But this is at that surface level, looking at those overall customers. Where the Profit Max platform allows you to go a little bit farther is to flip this over to looking at your ship to addresses. So each customer possibly has multiple stores, and each of those stores is responsible for ordering. This changes the picture, right? It doesn't look all big, nice, and happy, hunky-dory. You actually have a lot more at that lower level that's at risk. And this is one of those, we was having a conversation with a customer the other week, and they're like, Nate, I'm going to know if Walmart's not going to buy from me, but I didn't know that the Walmart in San Francisco hadn't ordered in 90 days, and my sales rep needs to go call them to put my stuff back on the shelves. So having this level of insight really drives that ability to say, how am I actually working on my accounts and managing them to their fullest profitability? So it's really about improving the bottom line by making the data available. Again, this is stuff that's updated daily. So you're not going to find out, hey, days since last invoice was 90 days when I ran this 10 days after the fact, right? You can come in every day and see what this customer list looks like. One of our customers even used this to generate, hey, these are all my at-risk customers, got the list, made a mailing campaign to reactivate them. And it was the most successful mailing campaign that they had. And it moved everybody from at-risk back to recent, right? It's the type of engagement you want to see as a business, that I'm not letting this customer go because the cost of getting them back is probably about 5 times about than keeping them, right? So if I know who's at risk or who's going to go, I can target them, outreach, and get them to reactivate and come back to my organization to improve my profitability. So using customers by recent sale with the ship to address is really helpful to see the holistic area of the business and how you can really target the accounts to improve overall profitability. Moving back to our main customers dashboard, we have this overall margin at risk. Let's flip this over to all. Have our margin at risk. So we have our minimal band, low, moderate, elevated, and high. The big thing Cavallo is going to tell you again is we have $3.3 million at risk. If I do not do something about this high and elevated risk, these 5,900 customers, that's how much money is not going to come back to the bottom line. Now, like I said, it's going to cost me 5 times as much to replace it. So if I'm trying to grow my business, I don't want to have to be chasing $3.3 million and then grow on top of that. I want to make sure I keep all of the eggs in the basket. I'm not going to lose any. So we can dive in here. We're going to be really focused on that profit, really focused on that margin to say, where can we go? How can we fix it? Really diving into why. So this is a model built on 20 years of distribution expertise, looking at 50-ish different measures and metrics that are coming in. That's all going to give you this different score. This is the science of profit, to really focus on those customers, to grow the bottom line and protect those customers coming back. So we see our customer percent, we see our overall margin, we see the overall margin, we see how recent are they, whether they're lifetime sales, days until churned, how much money they owe us. I really don't want somebody who's going to churn who owes me money, because I want to make sure I'm collecting on what's owed to us. So coming into this, we see here's all this list of customers. We can go out and make sure that we're working on this and can start targeting that. Not only that, but we know even with this in this high, if we come in here, I really want to focus on my A customers. These are my A customers who are at risk. One, I know they're valuable to me. They've been valued to me, but they also haven't ordered in a while. And we need to make sure and they're in this, been flagged in this because they're outside of their typical pattern and been flagged into being the churn model. So again, we have this list that's right here. I can go look at this. I'd be telling my sales reps and looking at this every single day to say, you have this high risk A customer. Make sure you're going to call them, contact them. How do we make sure they don't leave? Because they're worth to me the margin that's going to come back next year and the year after that and the year after that. So having a targeted list really allows you to appropriately take your resources and say, this is my high likelihood targeted list that I really want to focus on. It's not a shotgun. It starts looking at exactly where we can go. Let's pinpoint it where we can go. So the last thing about all of this is great to have an analysis that just happens, and I can go in and every single day I can look at this as the numbers are updated. But I can also come in, and Profit Max platform is providing insights as well. Like if I don't know where to start, this is like really looking at say where this is a lot. I have a segmentation, ABCD segmentation. I have a churn prediction. I have customers by recent sale. Ava's just going to tell you every single day, these are the top 10 things to start looking at, where you should really focus your attention. So again, you're losing customers. You have 700 customers that are going to be moving to at risk if you don't do something about them. Let's go take a look at those customers. Let's provide the plan to do that. Or you have 400 there, 30 that are going to be high risk in the next 30 days. Which customers are we losing margin on? Is their margin growth decelerating? A bunch of insights that really say, if I can start and I have 10 things or 2 things to do today, what should I pick off this list and where should I go? And having that as a daily starter, customers are just absolutely loving it. So this gives me a place to start, gives me a place to engage with my data to make sure I can improve my bottom line so I can go from base to really being a top performer in the distribution industry.
That's awesome. Ava's like that profitability navigator. She's just guiding you
Yeah.
through the waters there to help you with your customers
Yep.
and value all the way through.
Yep.
Pretty awesome stuff. All right, so let's bring it all together, right? The whole point we came here, know your customers, protect your profits. When you have the right insights, you can do that. When you understand your true customer profitability through ABC segmentation, and you can predict churn before it happens, you're not just reacting, right? You're proactively protecting profit when you know the total margin that's at risk. And what's cool is like that last demonstration there is when you combine that ABC segmentation and your predictive churn, you can really focus that sales and marketing campaigns, retention efforts, as Nate mentioned, even like pricing adjustments. You can do that with the knowledge and the foresight to understand, what effect that's going to have. And this is really the science of profit in action: visibility, foresight, and focus. Every distributor out there has customer data, tons of customer data, but the real advantage comes from knowing how to use it. And we believe the Profit Max platform is the ultimate tool to help you know your customers and protect your profits. All right. So with that, I'm going to jump into the Q&A section. We did get a couple of questions here, Nate. So the first one is, what data is being used to predict churn?
I just want to go into the special sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of the special sauce.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is, as I said, so we're looking 40 different measures and matches that are happening. We're really looking at order frequency compared to what was the previous order frequency. Are you accelerating? Are you decelerating? What are the values of those orders? Are they growing? Are they declining? All of those are different indicators that come together to say, this is how we can make a prediction of churn. So it's not the simple one of just days since last sale. It's looking at how are those changing? What are the changes over time for those to really understand, is this decline something that to be worried about or not be worried about?
Okay. I've got another one here for you. How accurate is your churn prediction model?
We're really proud about how well this is being used and how well it's actually being taken up. We've looked at this and we're about 80% accurate for what we're seeing. So we're going to find 8 out of 10 that are going there. And that's really, really good for the way the industry is. We're going to find a couple of false positives in there too, but we'd rather tell you that this person's going to churn when maybe they weren't. But really looking at through all of our customers and in the industry data that we have, we're seeing very high accuracy on this model.
And I wouldn't think that telling you a customer that doesn't get insurance
No,
contacting them is a
it's
bad
not.
thing.
Yeah. But so
I
you
think we
talk to
even
a customer
had
one extra time. So
I think we even had kids, and one of the cool things about the Profit Max platform is when we plug it into your ERP, we can tell it how far back to mine your ERP data, right? And I think that
Mhm.
I believe we even had one customer who did a pretty good job of actually posthumously tracking their churn, customers that they had lost. And when they actually looked back and sort of applied the model on that, they were like, oh yeah, we actually were like we would have predicted quite a few of these customers that if they had known this, they could have gone
Yeah.
after them.
Yeah, that's where we come to that. It's like we looked at this and says, oh, wait, we would have predicted this person, and they churn, right? So that's exactly how we're looking at that and measuring that. So
I have one other question here. I'll take this one. The question was, is this, this is obviously a valuable tool for the sales team. Is this priced per like user for sales user? No, the great part about it is this is a site license. So, you're going to license one time, connect to your ERP, and you're going to start benefiting from that data. And then your sales leadership is going to be able to go in and say and look at these reports, get Ava insights to be able to focus the team and be able to give them a lot of good information in there. So I also wanted to note before we kind of wrap up here, Nate and I will be back next Tuesday, and we're going to be talking much more specifically about margin intelligence, which obviously we talked a lot about margin, we talked a lot about profitability from the context of the customer, and next week we'll be talking a lot more about the margin from the standpoint of how it affects your orders, etc. But those obviously tie together, and when you're looking at both things, you get even more value. So. Um, with that, I want to say thank you to Nate. I want to say thank you for all of you for spending your day with us. We hope to see you on future webinars like the one we just mentioned. That is next Tuesday. Go ahead and visit our events page at cavallo.com, events schedule, and you'll be able to register for any upcoming webinars, view this recording or any past webinars. Nate and I've got a couple on there that you can go look at if you're feeling like you miss us. And if you would like to explore your organization's specific needs further, or you have any questions about what you heard today, please contact your account manager or send an email to marketing@cavallo.com. Lastly, there will be a short survey when you exit the webinar. We would greatly appreciate your feedback. Thank you for joining our webinar today and have a great day. Thanks, Nate.
thanks, Dean.